Bands are a lot like family, and families don't always get along. But it's not every day someone throws a plate of chicken at a person they're supposed to be close with. In 1999, the California pop-punk band Blink-182 was riding high. They had a hit single with All the Small Things and were all over MTV. But as the band progressed, there was a beef among members. On one side of the infighting stood bassist and singer Mark Hoppus and drummer Travis Barker. On the other, guitarist and singer Tom DeLonge. Things got nasty in 2015 when Hoppus and Barker replaced DeLonge with Matt Skiba of the band Alkaline Trio, saying that DeLonge had left the band indefinitely. But DeLonge released a statement on Instagram denying he ever walked away. Both Hoppus and Barker responded in a Rolling Stone interview in which Hoppus explained, "We booked January 5th to go into the studio. On December 30th, we get an email from Tom's manager saying that he has no interest in recording and that he wants to do his other non-musical stuff. Every single thing that we've heard from his camp was, Tom is out indefinitely. For the foreseeable future, Tom is done." When asked about their reaction to DeLonge's Instagram post, Barker said, "Mark and I were finally honest. We always covered up for him before. It's hard to cover for someone who's disrespectful and ungrateful."
I mean, I can't really speak for him except that, people grow apart, and when they do, it's no longer healthy.
They finally seemed to put aside their differences, however, in 2022. In October of that year, Blink-182 announced they would be reuniting for a new tour in 2023. Choreographer Robin Anton turned the Pussycat Dolls into a successful pop group after they were a burlesque act, which isn't seen in the music world every day. Right off the bat, the group scored a hit with Don'cha in 2005, and other popular songs followed. Nicole Scherzinger, who first came to fame on the show Pop Stars, stood front and center of the Pussycat Dolls. In fact, she contributed lead vocals to 95% of the songs. At least, according to what she said on Behind the Music in 2012. Scherzinger explained, "I'll never forget I finished the album PCD, and Ron Fair brought the girls in the studio, and we played it for them. This is the first time they've ever heard the music." It was a claim that Fair, who produced the album, backed up. He said Scherzinger sang just about everything. Pussycat Doll member Kaya Jones later confirmed that Scherzinger did all of the heavy lifting in the studio, but only because the other women weren't given a choice. She told TMZ in 2012, "There was a lot more going on behind the scenes. Nicole was always someone who wanted to be in the spotlight and would do pretty much anything to get it. To call the other girls in the Pussycat Dolls window dressings is a bit far-fetched. Every girl in the group was talented." It was a combination of substance abuse, refusing to sing, and pulling disappearing acts that got Ozzy Osbourne kicked out of Black Sabbath. After the band's 1978 album Never Say Die was received poorly by critics, they rented a house in Los Angeles to work on a new LP. But once things got underway, Osbourne would vanish for long periods of time. Tony Iommi, the band's guitarist, gave details about terminating the singer in the book Louder Than Hell, the definitive oral history of metal. According to Iommi, Osbourne was busy clubbing all night instead of working. When the LA house was rented, the band had trouble getting Osbourne to sing. He lacked confidence after the bad reviews of Never Say Die came out, and he turned to drugs and alcohol even more.
I was so fed up with it all. The truth of the matter was, I wasn't into Sabbath anymore.
It's been said that Iommi is the one who wanted Osbourne gone, but as he wrote in his book Iron Man, he was just the vocal one in the band. Of course, Iommi and the other band members weren't exactly sober either, which Osbourne took issue with after being fired. He wrote in his book, "I Am Ozzy, firing me for being f***ed up was hypocritical bull. We were all f***ed up. If you're stoned and I'm stoned and you're telling me that I'm fired because I'm stoned, how can that be? Because I'm slightly more stoned than you are?" Cheryl Salt James and Sandra Peppa Denton of the rap group Salt-N-Pepa were never accused of failing to show up or hurling a piece of chicken at anyone, but based on what their former DJ Deidre Spinderella Roper said, they failed to pay her hundreds of thousands of dollars. In 2019, Roper filed a lawsuit against James and Denton, claiming she was promised 1/3 of the royalties from a 1999 Salt-N-Pepa Greatest Hits album. According to the veteran DJ, she was supposed to receive $125,000 for the project, but never did. She further claimed to have been excluded from the production of a VH1 show about the group. Add to that, Roper said that over the previous 10 years, Her ex-group mates were paid over $600,000 in royalties, and she didn't receive any of those profits. James and Denton responded to the lawsuit, and they accused Roper of running a smear campaign against them. In the end, a settlement was reached, but it didn't heal all of Roper's wounds. She told Billboard in 2021 that she still hopes for some form of mediation, along with an apology.
The legacy is always what it's been, is to uplift women, and how are we going to uplift women if we can't uplift each other?
Before Slash was hired as the guitarist for Guns N' Roses, the position was held by Tracy Guns. He left the band in 1985, 2 years before the release of their debut album, Appetite for Destruction, because of lead singer Axl Rose, who Guns said became impossible to deal with. In 2019, he spoke with SiriusXM's Eddie Trunk about quitting the band and placed the blame on Rose, saying that after disappearing for a week, the singer had shown up to soundcheck a different person. According to Guns, "Me and Izzy Stradlin were just looking at each other from across the stage like, this is weird. All of a sudden, we weren't connected to Axl. You know, like he had taken over his space and was really talking a lot, and we weren't playing a lot." In 2017, Guns told Ultimate Guitar that being in Guns N' Roses wasn't fun anymore due to Rose's behavior. He recalled, "I was 19 when I left, and it was a very long time ago. At the time, Axl was kind of going through something because I had never seen him angry. Between him and I, we had a really great best friendship." Guns went on to explain that because of the bad vibes, he skipped rehearsal, at which point the band wasted no time in bringing Slash in to replace him. He doesn't hold a grudge, though. He told Ultimate Guitar that had he stayed, he thinks Guns N' Roses would not have had the mass appeal they did. Like his late father, Scott Weiland, who was fired from Stone Temple Pilots in 2013, Noah Weiland did not last long as the lead singer of his own band, Suspect 208. The band was initially formed in 2020 and consisted of Weiland, Ty Trujillo, the son of Metallica's Rob Trujillo, Lyndon Hudson, the son of Guns N' Roses Slash, and Nico Sangaris. But in 2021, it was reported that Suspect 208 had fired Noah for substance abuse. The band released a statement that said, in part, "Noah was not writing lyrics or lifting his weight in the band for 2 months before we let him go. He was heading down a dark path of drug use that got in the way of our friendship as well as the band. We wish him the best, and we deeply care about him." Weiland, however, has claimed that it wasn't until after he was fired that he turned to drugs. In a 2023 interview with iHeartRadio, he said, "I didn't get addicted to stuff until months after. That's what made me so mad." Suspect 208 didn't stay together very long after firing Weiland. They disbanded in May of 2021. The first time many probably heard of Naturi Naughton was when she was in the singing group 3LW, which also consisted of Adrienne Bailon and Kiely Williams. Naughton was able to carve out a successful acting career for herself after they disbanded, starring in series like The Playboy Club, Power, and Queens. But during her 3LW days, she felt like an outsider in the group. Specifically, Naughton said both Bailon and Williams wanted her out of 3LW. Their grievances ultimately escalated to assault. In a 2019 interview for TV1's Uncensored, Naughton claimed that Williams once threw a plate of food at her inside of a vehicle. According to Naughton, "Kiely and Adrienne are sitting in the middle aisle, and I was in the back by myself. I said, I'm not the one who's trying to kick me out of the group. Don't be mad that the news is out, because it's true."
She turned around, Kiely, and threw the plate of food, mashed potatoes, chicken, whatever else was in there, in my face.
Naughton said she got out of the vehicle after that, which drove off and left her standing there. Williams at first denied the chicken claim, but seemingly admitted to it in a 2021 tweet that said, "Somebody bring me a two-piece. She talking crazy again."